I have breaking news here from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals that has overturned the Texas Federal District Court that said you do not have to file a BOI. The current law of the land right now, as of today, December 23rd, is BOIs are required. The Fifth Circuit is the Court of Appeals where the plaintiffs, the Department of Treasury, appealed the Texas District Court. Everyone remembers that Texas court. Hopefully you've been following me. I've been updating you on that. A Texas Federal District Court said the BOI requirement where you have to file this form to the federal government about your LLC or corporation, that Texas court said it is unconstitutional. Now, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has overturned that order. The law of the land now is that you must file the BOI, okay? Now, the plaintiffs in that case, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, is going to appeal that. They've said they're going to appeal this. This is going to keep going back and forth. So we are going to have a Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals that is likely to hear this before the full panel, and then it can also get appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. So I have the order here. This is from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The court said, and this is a 3-judge panel, by the way. You don't get the full Fifth Circuit. There's a lot of judges on it. This is just a 3-judge panel that overturned the court. And they said that the temporary stay of the district court's order is removed. And in other words, what that means is if you were relying on this Texas court order to say, I don't need to file the BOI, which you could have, and which we were telling you to, and that you could have, you can no longer rely on that. All right. The laws of December 23rd right now is you need to file a BOI for your LLC or corporation. Now you file that at finsen.gov/BOI. Every LLC or corporation has to file this. There are some exemptions here. I'm going to mention them here in a second. But what you're filing here is the name of the LLC, anyone who owns 25% or more, or who has substantial control. Now, when you file that, you also have to update a photo ID, government issued. This could be a driver's license or passport. Again, for anyone who owns 25% or more of the LLC or corporation, or who has substantial control. Either way, those have to be identified and filed to the federal government. Now, that BOI filing is a private filing, okay? This is not a publicly searchable database that people can search who owns LLCs with the federal government. This is a privately, the government is going to hold this and not disseminate it, even to other federal government agencies or state governments. The only way they can get it is with a subpoena issued. So that is where this information is going. Now, there's a lot of reasons people don't like this, and I understand this. I don't like this law. I don't think it's the most effective way for the government to police anti-money laundering and drug trafficking activity, which was the purpose of this law, and that was the congressional reason of why they created this law. The problem is it's forced 30 million small business owners to have to go file this to the federal government when really they only get their LLC or corporation at the state level. The government already knows who they are because they had to get a tax ID. I'm not certain this is going to solve the problem they're hoping to achieve. Now, I want to go over a couple things of what's going to happen next. First, there's a lot of information out there about the congressional act that approved the budget just a few days ago. There was a bill approving extending the deadline to the BOI to January 1st, 2026. Now, that was the early version of the budget bill. That version did not pass. A later version passed of the bill, and this is the current one that was just signed into law a couple of days ago by President Biden, but there was no extension of the BOI to January 1st, 2026. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that. The deadline is still January 1st, 2025. Now, again, this is December 23rd, 2024, when I'm shooting this. This could change. It is my expectation that the federal government is going to extend the January 1st deadline at least 30 days. This Texas court saga thing has been going on for at least 30 days. So I'd anticipate some type of delay and relief in the deadline on when to file. FinCEN, the federal government, has not updated their website yet, but the the U.S. Court of Appeals order is out. It's on their website. The National Federation of Independent Businesses has issued their press release going over what's happened in the case and indicating they're going to appeal this. So I want to go over a couple of options of what you have. You could hate this law and be like, I don't want to file this thing. I'm going to wait and see how the courts go. You don't really have a legal basis for that right now. Okay. A day ago, you did. You could say, I don't need to file this because there's a federal order that said you don't have to, that you could rely on. That order's been reversed. This is our legal system. Love it or hate it. It's just what it is. We're in the appeals process. Stuff can get overturned. So right now, this is back in effect and you need to file it. Now, we're going to be recommending our clients are filing at our law firm, KKOS Lawyers, our corporate compliance company, Main Street Business Services. If you don't want to file it, I get that. You can do the wait and see approach. It's not what I would recommend, but I understand that position. You might be right at the end. and the plaintiffs in this case and some other cases that are pending before our appeals court, they might prevail in your favor. But until they do, you do not have a legal basis to do that. I want to make sure you understand that if you want to take that approach. Yesterday, when that Texas Federal District Court order was in effect, you had a legal basis to not file. Okay, now where this can go next is a full circuit. So the whole Fifth Circuit could hear this instead of just a 3-judge panel, or it can go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll see what's going to happen on that. Also, there is a bill pending in Congress right now called the Repealing Big Brother Overreach Act. It's the real name of the bill. This is pending in Congress right now that would seek to remove the Corporate Transparency Act and the BOI requirements for small businesses. But again, that's just a pending law until that passes, both House and Senate, and the president signs it into law. You can't rely on that either. So where are you left? Well, you're left with the current law today, again, December 23rd, 2024, and the BOI requirement is back in effect. You're required to have it filed by January 1st, 2025 for any businesses that were set up before January 1st, 2024. So any business before 2024, you have a deadline of January 1st, 2025. If you set up an entity in 2024, let's say you set up an entity in March of 2024, you had a 90-day window to file that. And in any entity set up in 2025, you have a 30-day window to file the BOI. Okay, I know these deadlines are a little confusing, but what the government was basically saying when they passed the law is businesses before 2024, let's give them a full year, which now where it's upon us, January 1st, 2025. Any new business that was set up in 2024, they really have 30 days, but then they said that might not be enough. Let's give them 90 days the first year. So this first year of 2024, you had a 90-day window to file this BOI to the federal government. Now, we filed thousands of these for clients. I filed over a dozen of them for my own companies because I had to, and I wasn't waiting on this Texas court. I was early, wanted to get it done, and I filed it because I had to. So this is not a complicated process. Your lawyer, your CPA, your corporate services company, many of those parties can help you out with this. You can do it yourself. You can go to fincen.gov/BOI and do it yourself. It is not that complicated. But again, this is a requirement. You have to have it done by January 1st, 2025. Again, that deadline may change. Now, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be providing updates here. If there are any cases that there's other cases pending on this right now that could move too. If there's any emergency relief that is sought in this case, I don't know that the plaintiffs have another avenue to get emergency relief right now. So we're going to go through a normal appeals court process, which is not going to be days or weeks. It's going to be months likely before you hear anything new on this. The next thing around the corner, though, is the Trump administration, a Department of Governmental Efficiency, who may be looking at this. We don't know what they're going to do. Again, I mentioned this bill, the Repealing Big Brother Overreach Act, pending before Congress right now. They might act on that. We don't really know what's going to happen. But what you know today is that you're legally required to file that. I want to let you know you need to file it. That would be my recommendation and advice. As what we're telling our clients at KKOS Lawyers is to file that. Now, make sure you're subscribed. As I said, I'll be providing updates here. I'm Matt Sorensen.